Hi everyone, this is Professor Mukhtiar Abbasi, and the topic I am going to speak on is other uses of personal pronouns, part 2. The part 1 we discussed the uses of some other pronouns, and in the part 2 we are going to discuss the different uses of he and she besides their primary uses. So let's learn without further ado. He normally or generally, as you know, is used in place of males. If your noun is male or masculine gender, so in place of masculine gender, we use he. But in English language, the word he has also many other uses. So let's discuss. The first other use of he is in generic use. What is generic use? To understand it, please watch my previous videos. I have discussed about the generic use of it. But this is mostly common in Old English because as the time changes, there are lexical and changes on the surface of the language, but the deep of the language usually remains same. So this is very common in Old English. And why must we learn? Because sometimes we read old books or the reference of old books comes, and then if we don't know about these things, then it is a bit confusing for us. So in generic use, the word he, which is pronoun, refers to the person when the gender is not specified. Normally when we speak, if mentally we are clear that we are talking about male or female, that is okay. But there are some cases where we use a noun, but even we don't know whether we are talking about male or female. So this is actually what we call generic use. So if you have a generic use, like let's understand it through the example. If a student, now the word student is a common gender, we learned in noun, wants to pass he. Now in place of student, we are using he. Must study hard. But let me clarify that this is not common in modern English. And even in UK, you may be sued on the basis of making gender discrimination. So in the modern English, the safe side is that you should use they. Though the word they is used for the plural nouns, but even we can use they when the gender is not clear. So the moderate sentence in the modern English would be, if a student wants to pass, they must study hard. The next use of he is for baby animals, and this is also less common in modern English, but still here and there you come across this use of he. For example, look at the puppy, he is so cute. Now puppy, young one of dog or some dog family. So look at the puppy, he is so cute. I am using he in place of puppy because here we are using it he because we think it is male. But once again I say, please note it down. Nowadays the word it, the pronoun it is preferred until gender is known. This is a bit old fashioned once again. Why then we are learning now? Because no doubt we are in the present, but during our studies sometimes there are certain things that we have to use our study that are from the old English. That's why we must know the rule. So the modern English people prefer to use, look at the puppy, it is so cute. Then the third use of he is for God. In some religions, for God are supernatural beings, and where in traditional religious text, mostly you will find this thing in Bible. Like God is great and he is merciful. Here we are using he in place of God, though from the name we cannot determine, it is out of reverence we use he. But here we don't mean to say or specify, our focus is not on the gender. Another thing that is notable or that is noteworthy, that is that if you are using he in place of God, then the first letter of he must be capital, that is H. H must be capital because it is necessary. You can't write God is great and he with small letter. It will also be a grammatical catastrophe. The fourth use of he is in personified things. Again, I have written in brackets that this is also old-fashioned and literary style. But even in modern times, some writers in a poetic way, they use it. Like death. Though the word death is an abstract thing, non-living thing, but let us see what we have used it in place of it. Death is a hunter and he. We have used he in place of death. Though the death word is non-living thing, but we have personified it. We present it as if it is living thing. So death is a hunter and he spares no one. So here we are using. In modern English, mostly people prefer to use it. So they say death is a hunter and it spares no one. So these are the possibilities. I'm telling you that you will come across these things when you study books or you listen to people, or there are certain plays, old dramas that are also filmed. So these things when come in front of the listeners or new learners, they confuse them. That's why I have covered up these things so that you might have an idea. The next pronoun, personal pronoun, is she. Besides its basic use that it is used for the feminine gender, it is also used in some other way too. Like for what? For countries, ships and vehicles. So instead of them, you can also use she, but that is also literary and old-fashioned. Let us understand it through the examples. England is proud of her history. England is the name of one of the part of United Kingdom, and it should be considered as non-living, but we are using here her because it is common and some people prefer to use it in that way. But that is mostly, once again, in literary style or old-fashioned, but still some people prefer. So England is proud of her history. She, again I have used she in place of England because I can use it, or you can use it also if you want to be old-fashioned. So she has faced many challenges. Second example, this ship. Ship is non-living thing, but for some it is living, or for some it is personified thing. So people also prefer to use she in place of ship. Like this ship is very old, but she. Look at that. She, I have used she in place of the ship. So this ship is very old, but she sells well. We can also use it in modern English. We can use it, but actually now and then you come across the word she in place of ship. But in modern English you will say this ship is very old, but it sells well. Both are right, but we must know the things happen like this way. I love my car. Here, car is non-living thing, and it should be replaced by the pronoun that is used in place of non-living thing, but she is also possible. So, I love my car. She never lets me down. So I have used here she, but I can also use here it in modern English. Please note, it is less common, and in modern English means now we prefer to use it in place of all these she's that we have used in these examples. The second use of she is for earth, nature, and abstract ideas. Like the earth is generous, she, I have used here she in place of earth, though the earth is non-living. The earth is generous, she gives us everything. So she used in place of earth, that is also used in that way. Liberty is abstract idea, so liberty is precious and she must be protected. So here we have used she in place of liberty. Then is nature is kind. Of course nature is kind, that's why we survive. But nature is kind, but she can also be cruel. We have used she in place of nature. If you go against the nature, nature takes revenge, so she becomes cruel, and flooding and all these things you know about it. So for nature we can also use she. Please, there are also things that you need to note, and that is, this is not literal gender. Here I am using she, not a literal means in words. So here it is not a literal gender, but in a poetic style this is used. So this mostly happens in poetry, people use she. Then third is for goddesses, and mostly you will find it in myths, stories, and religions. Like we have a word, this is goddess, goddess of love. So Aphrodite is a goddess of love according to the Greek mythology. So Aphrodite is the goddess of love, she. So in place of Aphrodite we have used here she. Was worshipped in ancient Greece. Number two, the moon. Moon is actually non-living thing, but even for moon we can also use she. Like the moon was believed to be goddess because she guided travelers at night. Since in old times, when there was no advanced GPS system, people traveled by the help of moon at the night time. That's why they worshipped moon and they considered it as goddess. Number four is in figurative speech, in metaphors, where we show the likeness. Like my old guitar, I love my guitar because I have some affiliations with my guitar. I have some memories with my guitar. So my old guitar, she, instead of guitar I have used here she, whereas in normal English we should use it. So my old guitar, she has been with me for 20 years. So there has been a bond between two of us. Then the house is actually the name of place, non-living thing, so it should be substituted with it, but if you show affection or love you use she also. The house is small, but she, look at that, I have used she in place of house. she has our endearing memories. The house is small, but still we have some lovable memories with attached to the house. So it is out of affection we are using she. And in cricket commentaries, if you have ever paid close attention, that the commentators use she even for the ball. Though the ball is non-living thing, but still they use she. So any such place where you show affection, tenderness, or beauty, attraction. So for such things, especially when you try to be poetic, you also use she. I hope you learned what I tried to explain, but if you have still any question and you are unclear, you can ask me in the comment section, and I'm also giving the description of all that thing in my video if my writing is not clear, because I have to complete the lecture. That's why I have to write so much. So until my next lecture, bye bye.